This is Boomer Life on CIL 650.
Wouldn't it be nice if we were older and we wouldn't have to wait?
My name is Peter Shadd, welcoming you to Boomer Life here on CL 650, talking about Opal by Element, a brilliant new aging-in-place retirement community coming to Vancouver at Cambie and King Edward. You could see it going up now. The president of Element Lifestyle, Don Ho, is here, along with his daughter, Candy, who's the director and vice president of marketing. And on the show, we're going to look back at some of your outstanding guests you've introduced us to. Is there anyone more outstanding than Miley Wong?
She's a pretty amazing woman. She is my age. She was top 40 under 40 in business when she was only 34 years old. And what makes her so remarkable is her great success, but the humility and the remembrance of who brought her to this stage, which is also her family and her father. And it's kind of uncanny how similar we are in terms of the alignment of life philosophy and living a life of purpose. And so she is a wealth and portfolio manager, and her approach is different in the sense that she also develops really deep relationships with the families that she works with. She knows what are their values and works from there, and she helps them map out the roadmap and build their legacy into the next generation. So our purpose is kind of aligned in helping families together live better. And so she had an incredible life-changing experience that gave her a lot of perspective. So she started out in New York, and the second day of work on the floor, the Twin Towers fell in front of her eyes.
Oh, boy.
And that's when her perspective of living life with purpose every second of the day really hit home.
Well, let's listen to that, because it was an incredible experience. This is Miley Wong earlier on Boomer Life.
You were in New York City, and you were in New York City on 9/11. And how close were you on that fateful day?
Well, it gives me chills to think back to that day. But I was actually in the building connected to the World Trade Center.
Wow, because it's a whole complex, right, of
it is.
Financial buildings that were there.
Yes. So we were in the North Tower, which is connected to the second tower that fell through a series of walkways. And it was actually my second day on the job.
Wow.
Working on the trading floor at Merrill Lynch, a major institution. And it was around 8:30 when the first plane struck the building. And I was just coming out of a morning meeting, and I remember feeling the shake. My coffee just spilled all over my hat and my clothes, and I thought, what's happening? And I looked around, and there was some fear and confusion as everyone looked up at the big television screens.
Did you have windows in that complex? No.
The windows were very high up, so we couldn't see outside, but we could see the news being reported on the television screens throughout the trading floor.
Oh my gosh, right next to you. You're looking at
yeah. And I asked one of the fellow traders what happened. And he said, it looks like some idiot must have flown a small Cessna into the side of the World Trade Center. He must have been drunk.
Well, I have an interesting perspective from the other side of the continent. I was working at Global BCTV doing the morning news, and our show started at 5:30 in the morning, which was 8:30 New York time, and I walked off the set to go into the newsroom, and I saw CNN had a picture of the building with a hole in the top. And I thought to myself, somebody's flown a Cessna into the side of the building. We had no idea. And so I had the same impression, because everybody had no idea, because people don't realize each one of those floors was an acre.
That's right.
It's a massive structure. So anyway, pick up the story. I thought I'd just tell you that. Side note, that's what we thought too.
Yep, and that was what was being reported at the time. And to put it in context, we weren't expecting terrorism back then, right? And so everyone started to lose interest after a few minutes and went back to the desk. And I remember feeling the pressure to also go back to my desk. But about 10 minutes later, the second plane hit. And this time, it was as if a massive earthquake struck right beneath my feet. And everything shook. And that was the one that struck the building connected to us. And I remember at the time, our managers were saying, stay put, everyone. Don't go anywhere. Market's going to open up in about 45 minutes. So let's get ready for the stock markets to open. If you do leave the building, don't go very far. And so I've really struggled with what to do. Do I sort of take the safe path and stay close to the office because our managers are telling us stay put and follow orders? Or do I
use your judgment?
Use my judgment, take a bit of a step outside the proverbial box and get out of that building, and that's what I decided to do.
And what did you see when you left?
When I left the building, one of my colleagues started screaming. And I put my hand on her shoulder and I asked her, what's wrong? And she told me that she had just seen 2 people falling from the World Trade Center holding hands, and they were on fire.
Oh my gosh, I really am getting chills the whole time you're telling this.
So that image.
You did your run?
Yeah, I just found myself running, and myself and a few colleagues ended up running up the West Side Highway, which is the busiest street on the western side of Manhattan.
Downtown, yeah.
And just running as far away from the burning towers as we could. And it was a really strange and scary feeling because it hit me that I didn't know where to run to safety.
Mm-hmm.
At that moment, when the buildings were starting to crumble, the thought of being under attack kind of pervaded all of our senses. So we didn't know that if
something else was coming.
If something else was coming, if we ran too far north, maybe the Empire State Building would be next. So, it was a really terrifying and horrifying experience, especially, as seeing all the chaos and people running around and screaming and not knowing where to go. And, strange things like seeing every ATM tapped out of cash and no taxis or transportation, no subways, nothing to get you anywhere.
Yeah, people walked over all the major bridges to get back to the suburbs, right? And so when that happened, did you just stay in place at one? You just go. You just go up the island a little bit and sort of hang out there and wait to see what happened. Were you covered by the ashes and the debris?
Yes, I was covered by a lot of those ashes and debris, and I remember sort of wandering, not somewhat aimlessly, not knowing where to go, and just deciding within myself that either I could crumble up in the street corner here and wait for the inevitable to happen, or succumb to whatever risks I might fall. But then that image of those burning people falling from the tower flashed before my eyes, and I realized I was very grateful and lucky to be alive and to have, gotten through that initial crumbling of the towers. So in the moments that followed, I sort of had to make a decision and decided, you know what, I've been so fortunate that I really owe it to the forces that be that gave me the opportunity to survive, to actually do everything I can to, put one foot in front of the other and just find a way forward.
You're listening to Boomer Life on CL 650. And today we're talking about Opal by Element, exciting new aging in place. And Candy Ho has been on several times talking about the project that's just about to get started at Cambie in King Edward. You're the Director and Vice President, Marketing and Corporate Relations. A lot of titles there, but you're busy is what you are, right? Working every day for many hours, people coming by to see the do you have a display homes there
we
as
have
well?
A discovery center that is a display suite, and then the presentation where we walk through what the amenities are programmed with, where all the potential of activity is. And then we also have a seminar and focus group room where throughout the 2 years before we open, we want to engage the community and our purchasers and renters to come for investment seminars, financial planning, wellness classes, and help them think differently about retirement and all the possibility in front of them.
Now, the very first time we had you on the show, your dad was here. Right? Don Ho, who is the icon behind Element, and Miley, we want to talk a little bit about your dad because at 30 years old, you were named Vice President of HSBC Securities, one of the youngest investment advisors to be promoted to that firm-wide, so a major accomplishment at that age. But if it wasn't for your father, you wouldn't have gone down that road. So powerful father figures in your life. Candy's talked about her dad, so time to gloat a little, I guess, about your dad and what he did for you.
Sure, my dad's absolutely been an inspiration to me in my life and career. And early on, I think it was he who identified that perhaps instead of pursuing the path of medicine and neurosurgery that I was on, that I should consider a career in business of all things.
He knew your left brain, right brain better than you did, maybe?
I think so. I think so. My mother was also a tremendous impact in terms of the left brain, right brain side of things. And I think together, the two of them helped me really identify a career path that was really well suited to my natural skills. But my father had been in the business of investing for decades as well. And now I think he's celebrating his 47th year in the business. And so I'm so fortunate to work with him as a multi-generational father-daughter partnership.
Oh, so you're teamed up.
Yes,
right. Yeah,
like,
good
just
for
like
you.
me and my dad.
Oh, there
we have
you
so
go.
many parallels. That's how we met, in fact.
That's right.
That she found her story and was like, whoa, everything's aligned. And
Now, did you, I know a lot of times when you have these powerful figures that you need to branch out and do it on your own and show that you can do it on your own. So was that part of that trip to New York, was showing that you could do it and make it? If you could make it there, you could make it anywhere, as the song goes.
Absolutely. I think in our case, when I made the choice and accepted the offer to work in New York, my father would say that he thought his plan backfired.
Oh, because you were going to leave, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And I actually initially had no plans to ever come back to Vancouver. But, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to come back and build a family and foundation and business with my father here locally in Vancouver, where we serve multi-generational clients and help them achieve what I call a work optional life. It's basically a lifestyle where they have the freedom and flexibility to live to their highest purpose and potential without the financial restrictions of having to go to work every day. Instead, they have a investment pool or a portfolio of capital that they can use to generate cash flow to sustain their
Lifestyle.
very active lifestyle. And it's particularly exciting because nowadays so many of our clients are enjoying a very active, robust, engaging lifestyle where
in retirement, beyond.
they're in technically retirement, but it's the most exciting phase of their life so far.
You've actually got time to do the things you didn't have to do when you were
Exactly.
raising kids and working every day, right?
That's right.
All right. So you have an endowment fund. Tell us about that. Or you work on an endowment fund at UBC?
That's right. So I was fortunate early in my career to have been selected to participate as a portfolio manager for an endowment fund for the University of British Columbia. And that endowment fund does support some of the resources for the university.
So
And
they have a pool of capital
That's right.
that they put to work
Yeah.
so that they can do things at the university that they want,
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And every year there are graduates of the program, and we're fortunate now that there are graduates all around the world. And a lot of us stay very well connected and in touch. And it creates this global network of comrades, colleagues.
Do you still have connection with the fund, the UBC fund?
Yes, I do. I'm actively volunteering, giving back time to either mentor students, mentor graduates, particularly helping young women who are looking to create a career in business, men and women. But oftentimes, it's a very male-dominated industry. So I love to be able to provide either leadership or potentially introduce them to other role models in the industry.
Do you have a different sort of, I won't say, I'll say kind of pitch or a discussion you have with the women versus men, because men have often more risk takers. Women are maybe a little, I'm generalizing here, maybe a little bit more conservative. Is there, because you're a woman and you're in the investment business, is there a different conversation with the different genders, do you find?
Well, oftentimes that conversation is different for everyone. I think we all have different emotional biases or experiences from the past. Earlier we were talking about some of the people we encounter who lived in the Depression era, and they naturally think they need to hold on very tightly to their money. In many cases, the women that I work with, they have, perhaps a conservative view on how they want their money to be invested. And yet sometimes when I meet with them, it's about identifying what their fears are around money and helping them see the bigger picture and outline a roadmap to help them make choices that put them in more control and gives them greater peace of mind to actually have a stronger foundation financially.
Celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CL 650.